Welcome back, everyone, and I'm here again with SBR contributor Dave Golokhov. And today we're going to be taking a look at which team in the NFC South has a shot at winning that Super Bowl. How you doing today, Dave?
I'm doing good.
Alrighty, man, let's start by picking apart the Falcons, who come in at plus 6,600 to win the Super Bowl. Now, after that hard-fought loss to the Packers on the Monday Nighter, we clearly saw that they still have a lot to offer on the offense. But with that hip injury that Julio Jones had at the end of the game, I mean, that might hurt them a little bit. And that terrible defense, well, I mean, that's just awful. I think if the team can actually, fight a little bit more on that defensive side and put up a little bit more fight on the offense, that they might be able to get into the postseason, even, to consider them as potential Super Bowl winners. But, that might be a little crazy. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think I'd be asking for a hit of whatever you're smoking if you're thinking that they're going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, listen, the Falcons are, what are they up to now? 5-8.
Yeah.
This NFC South is a complete mess. This is essentially like those guys in New York City who like dig through the garbage and try to find like an empty bottle to get like 5 cents out of it. Yeah. That's what we're doing here when we're looking at NFC South teams potentially winning the Super Bowl. I think some of them can one of them has to make the playoffs, but I don't think any of them are going to be a real threat to do much. With the Falcons specifically, look, this is a team that's just flawed. I mean, all these teams are flawed, but let's talk about the Falcons' flaws specifically. Can't run the ball to save their lives. Can't play defense. On defense, they don't pressure the quarterback. They don't. They can't stop the pass. This team is based on Matt Ryan in the passing game, and if Ryan can pass and save this team, then it works. But more times than not, we've seen that doesn't work this year, and there's no reason to believe that that's going to work in the playoffs when they're going to eventually have to go on the road and win games.
Yeah, man, I agree. I mean, and the whole deal about signing Steven Jackson in the decline of his career to actually carry the running game, that was pretty bad. And yeah, I mean, like you point out, that defense is just unbearable. And the way that they're playing right now, the only thing that they have going for them is Julio Jones, because Roddy White hasn't even appeared either. But let's move on to the Saints, or should I say the Aints in this case. I mean, damn, they've been a disappointment this season. And still they're favored ahead the Dirty Birds by plus 5,000 on the odds to win the Super Bowl. I mean, what's your take on them, man? I mean, do you think that they can actually pick it up in the final stretch? And if so, could you even consider them as a Super Bowl contender with the faults that they have right now?
No. Anybody who's watched the Monday calls with me and Peter Loshak has seen has heard me talk about how flawed the Saints have been since early in the year. Yeah. This is a team that's broken. Look, I want to say that of the 3 teams in the NFC South, they have the best chance to win the Super Bowl. Again, we're kind of we're picking between 3 ugly girls here, trying to figure out who we want to take home. But realistically, the Saints are just broken. They can't win at home. This is a team that a month ago was 20-0 at home with Sean Payton on the sidelines coaching the team. They've now lost 4 straight at home. That's absolutely astounding. This is a team that can't run the ball right now. Very surprising that they weren't able to run the ball against Carolina. Drew Brees is having issues passing the ball. The defense is a mess. We've heard of rumblings of Rob Ryan having a rift with head coach Sean Payton. It doesn't make sense that this team is as bad as it is. Given how bad the rest of the division is, you'd think the Saints should be able to take it. But the fact that they can't walk away with this division shows you that this team is extremely flawed. I know they're the favorite of these 3 NFC South teams to win the Super Bowl. Or they're whatever the term is, they have the shortest odds. Yeah. That's just because Drew Brees is there. Realistically, this team is just as broken as everybody else in this division.
Yeah, I agree, man. Hell, it took us 43 years to actually get our first championship. But yeah, I mean, you do bring up a lot of valid points. The fact that they haven't been able to run Ingram, and I know that the pass game, they got rid of a bunch of key factors there too, so that didn't help. They let go of Darren Sproles, so to me that right there just spelled doom. And I believe that the Ryans, dude, they're just a bunch of cancers, man. Look at what Rex is doing in New York, and look at what Rob's doing right now for us. I mean, yeah, he had a good 1 year, but after that, we haven't really seen anything from that team. All right, moving on, we have the Panthers, and they were a team who practically had no hopes whatsoever to make the playoffs. but apparently they're back in the race, and with that impressive win that they got at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in Week 14. Now, this team can be found at plus 150,000 to win the Super Bowl, which we all know is very highly unlikely. But what else can you tell us about this team, man?
Well, the Panthers, I mean, what can you say? Massive losing streak in the middle of the season, and then they go and stomp the New Orleans Saints. I don't know if that's a compliment to Carolina or an insult to New Orleans. I mean, this is where we're at these days with the NFC South. Nobody wants to win this division. It's just very ugly stuff right now. Carolina, last year they went 13-3 on the strength of a solid defense and great play from Cam Newton. We saw a little bit from Cam Newton last week, but he looks hurt. He looks like something's wrong, and the defense is not the same. I mean, look, all of these NFC South teams, whichever one wins the division, is going to have a home game, and you figure that they're probably not going to be that huge of a dog in the home game, probably 5 points max. But at some point, because we're talking about Super Bowl futures here, at some point those teams are going to need to go on the road and win a game, multiple games, very likely for these teams. I just don't see it happening. Carolina is just the same. On the road, they've been brutal, can't play defense, can't run the ball, can't pass the ball. I mean, in the game of football, if you can't do those things, you're pretty flawed, and you're not going to be winning very many games, which is what the Panthers have done. Beyond that, they're also a game back of the division leaders. I mean, I don't know. None of these teams are worth investing in terms of betting the Super Bowl futures. That's just the bottom line here.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, even though if you did have to pick one, who would you actually pick, man?
If I had to pick one, that is tough. I would say the Falcons. I mean, this is like 2 a.m. at a bar, and you know what a hog scramble is? You know what the hog scramble is?
When you're chasing down the last chicks in the bar, I believe.
Hey, there we go. That's exactly what's happening here. We're like, listen, if you've got a bet on one of these teams to win the Super Bowl, you're in trouble. If I have to pick, I would go with the Falcons, just because they seem to be playing the best right now.
All right, man, and before I let you go, this one last question. Between Smith and Rivera, who do you think loses their job first, man?
I think whoever doesn't make the playoffs. I think that's the bottom line. I think it'll be tough to fire either coach if they make the playoffs. It'll be tough not to fire the coach if they don't make the playoffs, if that makes sense. I just think that the team that edges their way into the playoffs is going to say, hey, minor win for us. The team that doesn't is going to take a long, hard look in the mirror and say, hey, we're not a very good team right now, and we need to make a change.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Dave, a pleasure talking football with you, and let's do this again next week, man.
All right.
Take care, man. And for SBR Picks, this is Dax Floyd.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns, big money free betting contests year-round, a real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.